There's one from Nico from Italy. Actually, it's a few from Nico from Italy, so I'll try and round it up quickly. If you had the occasion to work with Mutt Lange or Bob Rock, no one there, note by note, sing a word at a time, work and routine, would you take it? No. No, if someone made me sing a word at a time, it'd be impossible. Impossible. I couldn't do it, but I would like to work with a really big producer like Bob Ezrin. I don't even know, is Bob Ezrin still working? I know he's probably very old now. Is he still working? I'd love to work with someone like Bob Ezrin, just from point of fact that I'm such a big fan. I'd love to work with Bob Rock and Mutt Lange. If they let me do things my way or some kind of compromise, that would be brilliant. You know, who wouldn't want to make like an album that sounds like one of those albums? You know, I'm not afraid of commercial sounding records, but there's certain things I won't do for commercial success. I never could, wouldn't even entertain the thought. So if they were into doing something a bit more scrappy than they normally do, yeah, I'd love to do it. I love Jeff. He looked like a really nice guy. He really was. And a good team player. He was. Did you think he enjoyed being in the band? No, I don't think it was for him. The Wildhearts, especially back then. And I used to take pride on telling people this is not a job for everyone. This could be an absolute, you know, walk in the park for you, or it could be a nightmare. It could be walking through a living hell. And for Jeff, I think it was a bit like that, because as much as he liked to drink and he liked to party, he wasn't on the same level as us, you know. And he, oh, bless him, tried to keep up. But it was just pointless trying to keep up with me and Danny. You know, we had serious concerns over our consumption and a ridiculous ability to consume more than anyone else around us. We really did have a capacity to put a lot of stuff away. I don't think it was the band for Jeff. I think it was way too hardcore, but he definitely had the skills. Maybe he was a little bit over skilled for the job that he got, but I don't think he enjoyed it to the same level or for the same reasons. I think it was exhausting for him. You know, it was a hardcore kind of band, especially when he was in, around about the time of Endless Nameless. Fucking hell. He must have just been so happy to go home every night. You know? And we're just like, okay, now the party starts. And he's like, I'm just going to go back and get a... So yeah, I think he had a great time, but I don't think it was his band. After initially disliking it, I'm now a great fan of Endless Nameless. That seems to be quite the thing. Do you foresee another noise attack in the vein of a Wildhearts record? Yes. Or bringing some electronic industrial vibes? Yes. I love noisy music, and I will never not make noisy music. Do I see the Wildhearts making a noisy album? Not really, because we've done it. And I don't see the point in going back. But do I ever hear us doing noisy music? Absolutely. You can guarantee that we'll be doing songs that people go, oh, that's just a fucking racket. Because I need to fulfill that part of me. I love noise. I love electronic beat music. I love industrial music. I love thrash. I love hardcore. There's no way I'm not going to do that. You know, people think I'm just going to turn into a pop monster. I just couldn't make pop music exclusively. It bored the fucking shit out of me. But there's nothing better than doing a pop song on an album. All my favourite bands, no matter who it was. I mean, prime example was Anvil. I used to love Anvil because they were the heaviest band and the weirdest band at the time. But they had a song called Stop Me, which was a blatant pop song. I used to love when bands would do a pop song. It would be like, track 3, side 2, and it was never a single. It was just them going, I like Cheap Trick, I like fucking whoever, Bay City Rollers, sweet. I will always put pop songs on records. I will always put noise songs on records, and I'll always piss people off because of that. And that's just going to be the way that it's going to stay. And Nico from Italy's 4th question: do you like Bon Jovi? Have I ever met him? No, I've never met Bon Jovi, but I did go to a Bon Jovi gig and ended up sitting at a table which was for Bryan Adams. And because Bryan Adams was on the bill, that's right. And we were sitting at a table and Bryan Adams and his family were all standing around this table, and they were so nice, they wouldn't kick us off their tables. Bless them. And we were high as fuck on acid, so we weren't even aware that we were on anyone's table. We were just sitting there going, whoa. But even then, high on acid, having a great time, I still didn't like Bon Jovi. And then he put a single out called I Will Always Love You. And I remember at the time, my stepdad just didn't believe in anything that I used to do. And he'd go, yeah, you know, I'd be on the telly. And I was so drunk at the time, I forgot I was on Top of the Pops. And then I'd be on top of, oh, look, it's me on Top of the Pops. And he'd go, you're not much of a singer, are you, David? And I'd be like, well, I don't know, but I'm on the telly. You're not much of a front man either, are you? I'm on the telly. I think you should get yourself a front man and a singer. And I'll be like, okay, now. And then he turned up with his Bon Jovi single, a John Bon Jovi single, I Will Always Love You. And he put it on and it negated all of the things that he said, because I fucking hated this song. And I was like, you think this is good? And you've got nothing good to say about me? I don't know what came first, my allergy to the song or the fact that he liked it and hated what I was doing. But I've heard the song a few times in supermarkets and stuff, and I've got to put my shopping down and I've got to run out because that actually makes me feel bad. It's like a nut allergy, only it happens in my nerve system or my brain or something, but it makes me feel terrible, this song. I applaud John Bon Jovi's work ethic. He obviously works really hard at keeping himself fit, and he's still fucking doing, oh, look, Always, this, I've been reliably informed, is called Always. I love his work ethic. I love that he's still doing it, even though he's got problems with his voice. He's still going out there. And, you know, you've got to applaud a guy that does that. He's got a great work ethic, and I've got nothing but respect for him. But I think I'm kind of allergic to his music. And I don't say that in a cheap way. I think, you know, clinically feel bad when I hear his voice sometimes. So there you go. Nico from Italy. Sean says, whatever happened to the Sinners and Wicked Cool records? And when will he be coming back to play shows in NYC? I hope I come back very soon to play shows in NYC. I've got a lot of friends over there. I love the place. I actually know the place like the back of my hand now. I'd love to go back there. So you can guarantee that as soon as it's possible and we go to America, that's our first port of call. So I've never really went into this in the past, and I'm going to go into it now, only not in very much detail because some of it's really personal. But the Sinners, I heard this band and I was like, I need a backing band. I'm just going to get this band. I'd never even met them until we went in the studio and we recorded the first album, and it was that simple and that organic. I've got a band. Obviously you don't know the guys when you form a band in those circumstances, but it was a great band. We sounded really good. Then it came to going on stage, on tour, and it was like, you know, I'd warn them, like I warn everyone. I've got certain mental health problems. Oh, don't worry about that. You might be a nutcase, but you're all nutcase. And I've heard this said by a lot of people, and they go, oh, that's a red flag. That's not what you mean. Not everyone could be in a band with someone who's got mental health issues, so I completely get it. But the first time these issues became on the surface and public, the band turned around and was just like, we can't work with you. This is, we don't know what's going to set you off next, which like is not how you approach someone who's trying to deal with their mental health issues. So that drove a huge wedge in the spokes. And then we were still talking about, you know, finishing this second album that we'd done. And I'm still reeling from this awful time. My life was spiraling right out of control. So I was back home in South Shields and just trying to figure out how we're going to do this. So I booked time in the studio. We'd all agreed to go in the studio. And we were doing this on Round Records. There was literally me and one other person running everything. It wasn't a proper record company. Then they came back and said, we want contracts. Contracts for a bedroom company, basically. And I'm like, there are no contracts. You know, you know this setup is this. There is no long-term thing. It's like, do you want to do a record? Yeah, we're going to do a record. Are we going to get rich? Probably not. There are no contracts. So then it was just like, well, we can't make any more music unless there's contracts. No, this is the kiss of death to anyone who's doing anything independent. It was the kiss of death for Hey Hello. Victoria had said, I can't do any more work with Hey Hello unless you pay me. I'm like, well, you know as well as I do, there's no money, there's no gigs. How the fuck am I going to pay you if there's no money coming in? You know I'm not rich. As soon as money enters the picture for any band, it's over. Because you're not doing it for the music. If you're not doing it for the music, it's probably good that it's over and you found out early on that this is never going to work unless you commercially do well and everyone starts making a lot of money. That's never the reasoning for me to do anything. So I'm always surprised when someone else brings it up, but I get it, I get it, I mean, I would say, well, if you want to do music independent, get a job on the side. Don't wait for the music to pay, because it's probably never going to. So get a job. But that's what happened with the Sinners, and that's what happened with me and Victoria. At the end of it, with ALO, is they wanted money and contracts and things like that, which do not exist in my world. And I hope they never do, because I fucking hate contracts. Who the fuck needs them? Relationships don't even work when you get a contract in there. You get married and the fucking whole thing falls apart. Contracts, bollocks to them. I hope that answered that without me incriminating myself too much. Andy Holmes asks, oh, this is a good one. Is it true you were backstage at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert? And if so, any memories, stories? Yes, there are, of course, memories and stories. We got invited to go to the after show. Didn't go to the gig, but we got invited to go to the after show. And as was the Wildhearts way at the time, we were all broke. If someone said, there's a free drink in it, we would go to anyone's after show. And, I'd been dragged out of a few in my time. Bon Jovi actually was one classic one where people would say, oh, it's a good party because Ginger's getting dragged out, which is, not too far from the truth. We went to the Freddie Mercury, not knowing anything about anything, just wanting to get pissed. And we went to the Freddie Mercury party, and there was a table there. So we, again, shades of Ryan Adams, stroke Bon Jovi, lots of segues in this one, sat at this table. I'm like, this is fucking great. And then Tony Iommi comes and sits down next to us. And we're like, oh, this is cool. Hey, Tony. Thinking we must look like a band, he wants to come and talk to us. And then Axl Rose came over and like, hey, guys, we're killing it here. And then Liza Minnelli came down. And, we'd taken all the seats. So she's kneeling down next to us. And I'm pissed out my head and just, blown away that I'm looking at Liza Minnelli's eyes. And some people have got famous eyes. She had very, very famous eyes. It was magic. You'd fall in love with Liza Minnelli straight away just because of her eyes. And she was talking about stuff. Axl Rose is talking about Elton John with me. Liza Minnelli's talking about Frank Sinatra with me. I'm so blown away by the moment. I didn't even realise that John Deacon came and sat down. And then Brian May came and sat down. And it wasn't our table. It was Queen's table. And everyone was just too nice to tell these drunken tattooed ruffians to move. Obviously, the occasion is not going to cause trouble, and we looked like we were trouble. We wouldn't have been, we were just out for a good time. But, we're surrounded by these people we honestly thought wanted to talk to us. We'd done about 2 gigs at the time. So, yeah, that was a memory I'm not sure it was a memory for them, although I'm not sure that many people had the balls to just go and interrupt their party and not get told to move. So that was my favourite memory of that. But all of the people that we sat next to were lovely. Everyone. There was no rock star egos or anything. So yeah, that was my Queen story. Owen Gould says, one day, could you cover off what goes into making a Wildhearts album, from the basic idea for an album to the album being released and available for people to buy? I'll do it quick. The initial idea comes from being inspired. You could be inspired by a catchy title, a rhyme and couplet, a cool phrase that you've heard. Like I said before, a tune that you've got, or a tune that you've heard you want to rip off. That could be the initial impetus to write a song. 1 song is not an album. 2 songs is not an album. You get 3 songs, you're rolling. It's still an EP until you get 5 songs, and it's too many for an EP. But yeah, once the ball starts rolling, you've got an album. Then you've got to work on the songs and finish them off. This is where people usually fall at the first hurdle. It takes a lot of graft before anyone hears anything. Even the musicians that you're playing with, it takes a lot of graft to finish things off. Everybody's good at starting stuff. Not everyone's good at finishing stuff. You've got to finish the fucking songs. You've got to do your work. You've got to find the rhyme and couplets. You've got to make the lyrics make sense. You can't just, I've got 3 songs. I'll just shit out a bunch, filler. Filler's a killer. It will kill your fucking album. You've got to get these songs to the point where you are confident, and then you've got to go to the band. And this is where you look like a cunt. Unless you've got a home studio and you can demo your songs, you've got to sit there with a guitar and sing these songs. Even you don't know very well. And these songs are all strangers at this point. You've got to sing these songs convincingly to the people that you're playing with. Now, I've done this to a lot of responses, not very many of them going, hey, that's a good song. A lot of them going like, maybe, someone else should sing this, or basically just laughing. Unbelievable the way that some people respond to your hard work, but you've got to expect that it's not going to all be like patting on the back and hoisting you on people's shoulders. We've got the fucking Messiah here. And then you've got to either go and do demos or do your due diligence in the rehearsal place and learn the fucking songs. Really good, important point, learn the songs. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot more money in the studio. So learn the songs. And if someone can't be bothered to learn the songs, learn their part, because you'll probably have to play it. But you've got to be able to play these songs quick. A, because you want to fucking save yourself a fortune in the studio. And B, you want to capture a spirit. And nothing kills a spirit more than some cunt doesn't know the songs and keeps making fucking mistakes. So you've got to start again. And then it's a long drawn out process. Making an album is very difficult. It takes a long time. And when you're new to it, it just seems like you're never going to finish. You've got this chart on the wall that has got all of the things that you have recorded, and more importantly, all the boxes where you haven't recorded. This thing just looks like it goes on forever. Even if an album is relatively quick to make and you're new, it's going to feel like it takes years to finish off. Then you've got to get in tune with whoever's releasing it. If you're working with a label, it could take a year before your album comes out. It's taken about a year for the Wildhearts album to come out. Then you've got to wait until the response. Now, the critical response is what finishes a lot of bands off, because they take seriously the few critics that probably have got a hangover, or they couldn't get it up last night, or they're just in a pissed off mood, or they just hate being a critic. They're a failed musician. And you could get a shit review for any number of things. If a shit review is going to knock you back, your skin is way too thin, you're not going to last in this business. Reviews, good or bad, cannot last very long. Get a good review, great, yeah. Fucking, have a wank, just celebrate, but it's fleeting. Then you've got to promote the album, and it doesn't matter how many reviews or otherwise that you've had or responses, the hard work starts when you're promoting the album. A lot of people think that the album comes out at the end. No, you've got to promote that album and promote that album and promote and believe in these songs that you might have been sitting on for like a year and a half. There you go, in a nutshell, is the album process. The C's, C-E-Y-S. I love all the insights and the stories behind the music. It reminds me of that Roadies documentary series. Do you have any memories of the filming process? Yes. Quickly, that fucking program probably broke me and my partner that I had 2 kids with, probably broke me up. I never watched it. I didn't even want to be in it. And someone had insinuated in this thing that I was in bed with a girl. And it wasn't my way. I've never fucked about. With my many faults taken into consideration, I'm not an unfaithful guy. But it came out that it looked like I was. How they come about this, I do not know. I didn't even watch the whole fucking program. I was just shown this part. But it ruined my relationship. I fucking hate that program, and I'll move swiftly along. Nicholas Olsen asks, I've always appreciated your previous recommendations of books, and I bought a few of them, some of which I've read several times. Among other things, The Road Less Travelled, Hardcore Zen, and most recently, The Power of Now. Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle. Get it, read it, it's fucking amazing. Just went through the worst weeks of my life. Do you have any new recommendations? Well, I pulled out a few. This one, if anyone's experiencing any mental health issues, especially depression, read this one, Lost Connections. See that? It lets you know that you have more control over your mental health than you thought. Now, it is a bit long-winded, and it does what I don't like books doing, where it ends up going into stories. Well, John was a bricklayer, and this happened to him. I don't fucking care. I like a doctor to just talk to me as a doctor. But this one has got some great revelations if you're struggling with mental health, especially in the system, and especially with medication. There's such a thing as non-responsive depression, and this one tackles it. Really important. And also, for anyone who is interested in spirituality, I always say spirituality for up there, Stoicism for down here. So Buddhism for up there, Stoicism for down here. If you're a spiritual person and you're struggling on how to get by on terra firma, get into Stoicism. And this one, the Daily Stoic, you see I've absolutely fingered the fuck out of this, is a daily affirmation on the Stoic way, how to deal with the trials and tribulations of life and cunts. You know, how basically it's telling you that good times and bad times not only are fleeting, but they're a chance to exercise your skills that you've learned in training. And all skills in training need to be practiced on the pitch. This is a great one. It's literally 1 page long because it's daily affirmations, and I would recommend this highly to anyone. I read a lot of books, but I would say these two cover a lot of ground. Get into them. Oh, this is from Jack from Atlanta. How angry were you, or are you, about how your work with Courtney Love ended? Of course, we don't know the details, but as a fan of your work, I was angry at the way things went down. I think you probably got it wrong how things went down, Jack. I love playing with Courtney. I got to see a lot of countries. I definitely got to stay in a lot of hotels I never would have stayed at. Really, really nice hotels. But I got to tour Australia. I got to see some amazing parts of America. I would have been working with Courtney right until the end. And a lot of times I wish I had have been, because she got to play Red Rocks with Lana Del Rey, which I might have mentioned before. But one of my dreams is to play Red Rocks. It would have enabled me to live that fantasy, but I couldn't do the tour. So I wasn't like fired, or it wasn't like Courtney, just pulled the plug or anything. I was in the middle of doing the Albion album. So I was travelling around the coast of Britain in my car writing the album. And then we had a pledge campaign where I had to go and record the album. And right after the recording of the album, I did the Songs and Words spoken word tour. Now, these things had all already been booked in. There was no way I could get out of them. And they were all booked in before Courtney announced that final tour. So that's the only reason why I didn't continue with Courtney, because she did this final tour. I wasn't able to join. And then she decided that, she didn't want to do it. She wanted to go into fashion or whatever it was. So don't be thinking that Courtney, pulled a fast one, or, decided to pull a diva strop and cancel everything at the last minute. It didn't. She fulfilled all her contractual obligations, and then she decided that she wanted to do something else. Perfectly understandable. I would recommend anyone do the same thing. If you want to change your mind, change it. Go and do something else. Got to work on your own interests. And unfortunately, I worked on mine, and I was contracted up the wazoo. I couldn't do the rest of the Courtney Love stuff.